Venzo cycling shoe. This is their carbon fibre soled road shoe, and I've now done just under 4,500 kilometres of riding. Now I've ridden these in all seasons at the moment. In winter time I've spent pretty much 4.5 months with overshoes on them all the time because it's really cold. And then of course we had springtime and summertime. We had some really hot days, over 40 degrees. So it was a good test of their ventilation there. And in fact, in January, in the Tour Down Under this year, I had the privilege again, rode with Peter Sagan and his team, and I actually rode with these shoes. I'll see if I've got some clip in there. I'll insert that as well in the video, show you that. So how did they go and how are they standing up? Let's have a look.
Where else but Adelaide, two teams together, riding with two pro teams now.
First up, their general condition or general appearance. How do they look? I can tell you, I'll do some close-ups. They look excellent. They're in very, very good condition. The upper is almost like they're just a couple of weeks old. Now, considering that I've taken them out of the box, whacked the cleats on over a year ago, and done 4,500 kilometres and never cleaned them. The most I would have done was when they got sogging wet, I would have put them on the front veranda to dry out or near the heater, and that's about, and then stashed them away. In fact, there's still marks on there from electrolyte drinks and fruit juices I spill on them. There's stones in the heel cups still there. I haven't cleaned them for the video. I haven't done anything. They're just as they are. Pulled them up and said, let's do the video on them for you. What else is there? There's some marks on the toe box area there. The cleats have got, well, they're getting worn, but that's nothing to do with the shoes. They've still got a bit of life in them. But in general condition is excellent. Now, when you consider white, if you like white shoes, but it's one of the worst colours because it shows all the marks and other colours, when they get marks on them, you can only clean them so much, and then you're taking off the paint. So end up with marks like that. That's permanent now. That, by the way, those sort of marks are by the overshoe because it's on the inside. The overshoe rubs a little bit and it makes marks like that. But generally, and a light coloured mesh always shows the dirt. It doesn't look nice and white anymore. It starts to go grey. So there you go. So part due to the fact that the dark colour, but also the fact that they're a synthetic shoe. So it keeps itself really clean. So there's the general appearance. Ventilation. When I first showed you the shoes in the unboxing video, I showed you there's no ventilation holes in the sole whatsoever. And the only ventilation in the upper are some slots on the outside and some holes on the inner, on the upper. So you'd think these shoes would be quite hot in summer and sweaty. Well, actually, no, they weren't. I didn't experience any hot spots in any part of the shoe or on my foot, and no general overheating whatsoever. Usually when you take shoes off on a hot day, you feel your socks and they're really sweaty if the shoe doesn't breathe properly. This did not happen with these shoes. I was a bit taken back because being a synthetic shoe, it doesn't breathe. Well, there's something about it, well, I'm not sure if it's the design or synthetic, but didn't experience that whatsoever. So really, really good when it comes to that. Now, in winter time, you want to keep warm. So with the booties on, of course, and it's wet and cold, your bootie is going to be wet and cold. And so with a leather shoe, the leather tends to absorb the water and the cold from the bootie. And so your leather is going to be wet and eventually get soaking, and then that's going to go through to your sock. What I found with these shoes is that stays cold and wet, but this synthetic tends to be like a barrier, and there's no way of the water getting in apart from the holes there, which are only small, so it tends to keep your foot nice and warm and your sock fairly dry. I found that quite interesting as well. Contrary to what I thought, especially about the heat, pretty good. So in the heat and the cold, no problem. Performance. Now, I wouldn't put these Venzo shoes right up the top with some of those available on the market today, but they're not far off. Firstly, because of the heel cup. Now it's nice and soft as it should be up the top, but as you get down, it doesn't get any decent reinforcement till about a centimetre and a half off of the sole. So it's not really that much. There's not much reinforcing going on there. It's quite shallow. So for those who are heavier riders, putting a fair bit of power from shoe to pedal, or those with explosive force like sprinters and that, well, these wouldn't really be that suitable. But there's a plus for having a cup that's just mediocre. First of all, if you've got knee problems and ankle problems or any leg, malalignment, I suppose, then these will give you a bit of movement in that heel. You won't feel so locked onto that pedal in that one position. Some pedals have arc movement, which gives you that bit of movement. Well, this heel cup will give you that little bit extra. So that's sort of a plus and a minus there. So it's a shame because the sole is really stiff. It's a top sole, but it's coupled to not so good a heel cup. And while we're talking about the heel cup, you can see here there's a little bit of wrinkling going on, and that happens with both shoes, of course. That's just appearance. It's just obviously where there's a bit of movement. So that highlights the fact that there is a fair bit of movement and lack of reinforcing in the heel cup. So you get that wrinkling effect. So these, remember, are 4,500 kilometres into their riding. Now, arch support, there isn't much support in these shoes. The inner sole is just a floppy average thing that you can get in any sand shoe. And in the shoe itself, on the inside here where your arch is, there's very little deviation. It's fairly flat inside. So if you have any special requirements for supporting your arch, flat feet, you'd be fine. So if you do need arch support, then consider getting some decent inner soles. Otherwise, these shoes may not be suitable for you either. Now, as for the rest of the shoe, the midfoot and the toe box, you've only got that one boa there to do the whole tensioning of the rest of the upper. So you haven't got a Velcro strap or a second boa to customize how you want the tension. So relying on that one tensioner there to give you the strength and the comfort you want, which seems to work okay comfort-wise. It's very comfortable because the upper is very thin, but unfortunately it does lack that really nice strength if you want to feel like you're locked in and put a lot of power through your shoe. Again, it tends to lack that in the upper area. The other thing about having this single tension system is when you put your shoes on, make sure your heel is far enough back into the heel cup. Just kick back into that heel cup and then do your tension system up. So if you click into your pedals, you might find after 5 or 10 kilometers of riding, like I do, I find that quite often, I have to reach down and do I can get another click or two in tension out of that. So that's one thing to note about the single boa system. Now the toe box, there's plenty of room in there for toes. I've got an average foot, and I find that quite comfortable, quite nice. These shoes, the width is only 93 to 95 approximately in width, so they're on the narrow to medium foot size. So if you've got a wide foot, these are not for you. The other thing I notice is after a bit of riding is the tongue does tend to migrate to the outside of the shoe, just tends to twist a little bit like that. So it'll be nice to have a little bit of stitching or something to hold it in place, but anyhow that's just part of the way it is. So summing these Venzo cycling shoes up, remember cycling shoes are a very individual fit, and if these criteria of these Venzo shoes fit you, your foot, then you'll be on a winner. Now remember, they're narrow to average size foot. If you're a really heavy rider or you're putting 1,450 watts through your pedals, lots of power, then these shoes might not be for you. But for recreational and even in the racing field, these shoes are really good. They're 220 grams a shoe. That's incredibly light. They're very comfortable, supple, in all weather conditions. They stay in great condition. They're almost maintenance free. Well, as you can see, mine are maintenance free anyway. So I would definitely recommend them. $157 Australian. Don't know what that is in your currency, but there you go. So that sums up the Venzo shoes, and I'll still be riding these and we'll see how long they last.
3 Demerit points, Steve. We've got 3 Demerit points now.
These guys, they're all sipping on their fancy coffee. All I wanted is a finger bun, so walk back down there to the bakery. Late arrivals.
ride wasn't long enough for you guys.
Finger bun. Well, another ride under the belt, and the shoes are still going. Fine. Candid camera. With all these grey hairs here. What took us so long? Yeah.